Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a book review on Royal Blood by Aimee Carter. Royal Blood is the first book in a new trilogy by Aimee Carter. 17-year-old Evan Bright is the illegitimate secret American daughter of the King of England. But when she's suddenly forced to spend time in England with her extended family, her secret doesn't remain secret for long. Many in the royal family do not like or even trust her, and the media is ready to tell every juicy lie and piece of gossip about her. After a night out at a party turns deadly, Evan finds herself the prime suspect in an investigation, and as rumors and speculations swirl, she begins to discover scandalous information that could ruin the monarchy. Wow, you guys, I actually really highly enjoyed this book. Wow. Okay, let me be real. Let me be open and honest here. When I first got this book, I don't know what possessed me to get this book, because I was like, oh, this is kind of an intriguing looking cover. I like the idea of, an American girl who's like the illegitimate daughter of the King of England. Now, there was certain things that were kind of appealing and popping out to me, but at the same time, after I bought this book, I was like, what possessed me to get this book? Seriously, really? Because I was like, I have a feeling it's going to be terrible. That was kind of my thought process. Like, why did I get this book? Like, I felt like I just kind of splurged on it. Like, just like I guess not splurge, but like an impulse. This was like an impulse buy, and like I had instant regret like a couple days after the fact, and I was like, this is going to be terrible. So when I did finally get around to reading this book, I was pleasantly surprised with this book, you guys. I loved it. I really genuinely loved this book. Like, just the overall general concept of it, and like the future like potential of where this series is going. And yes, this is young adult like contemporary fiction, and that honestly can be really hit or miss for me. I'm a woman of a certain age now, and young adult just does not really appeal to me anymore. Like, it has to be kind of something really specific that's gonna like just grab my attention, and yeah, young adult contemporary fiction is definitely just not something that interests me. But like I said, I don't really entirely know what possessed me to originally get this book, but I'm glad I did. I really liked this book. I think initially I was a little worried that this book would be overly tropey. Now, it is still definitely tropey in places. Let's be real. It's young adults. You're going to have some tropes. I think I was worried it would be just overly tropey, to the point that it would be cringy and I would be rolling my eyes at some of just the stupidity. But I think it was actually, it was really well written. I think for the most part, just surprisingly well written and thought out in its execution, because I think this could have been executed just completely wrong, but I don't think it ever was. And I've said this before, I am a sucker for all things when it comes to the British monarchy. Yeah, guys, I don't know what it is. Why do us Americans have such an obsession with the British monarchy? I have no idea. I love William and Kate, yeah, guys. Charles not so much, but I love William and Kate. I have very complicated, complex feelings for Harry and Meghan at the moment. But yeah, this book, I think something that did definitely kind of draw me in the direction of this book, I think this book is definitely a commentary on the state of the modern monarchy in some ways. Now, it's not a specific commentary on, specific people within the monarchy. I think you can kind of see a lot of comparisons to like Meghan Markle in some ways, but it's definitely not like a really specific targeted commentary, just kind of more a general broad commentary on the state of modern monarchy, if you will. Like, why is it still around? It's so outdated and archaic at this point. So that was a big thing that kind of was drawing me to this book. I could definitely see like the commentary, and like I said, I'm a sucker for the British monarchy. And not only can you see those influences of Meghan Markle within this book, but definitely like Wallace Simpson, way back in the day. You definitely kind of see those nuances playing out in here, like the whole idea of an outsider, essentially, an outsider coming into the monarchy, and the monarchy is just such a close-knit, closed-off unit. And yeah, when somebody comes in from the outside, they can shut down really easily, and they can look insensitive, they can look uncaring, you know. Are they really? Who knows? But yeah, this book is definitely kind of playing into that whole thing of just the position of modern monarchies, how they kind of come across when somebody different, new and different and modern comes in. And we've seen this a lot too, you know, especially, you know, Meghan versus Kate, or Harry versus William. You know, we've seen this whole ridiculousness play out, like in the media, you know, who the monarchy is willing to protect versus who they're not willing to protect, who they're not willing to protect, who they're going to try to use as like a scapegoat for the most part, you know. So this book is definitely kind of using that as well. So yeah, kind of getting into the highlights of this book, you know, the overall concept. Like I said, let's kind of start here from the beginning. We are introduced to Evan Bright. She's an American teenager. Not only that, she is the illegitimate daughter of the King of England. And yeah, let me kind of say here too, obviously this is supposed to be like a fictional version of the English monarchy. It kind of starts, you get a nice little like family tree, like where the difference is coming, you know, like why do we not have Queen Elizabeth II as the monarch, you know. It all goes back to kind of this whole what if thing, if King Edward the Eighth, you know, had he not married Wallis Simpson, had he married who he was supposed to marry, and you know he had descendants that way, you know. So that's where we kind of get the fictional current monarchy in this book, and I like that. I like the family tree. It tells you a lot right there from the get-go, you know. So yeah, Evan Bright, teenage American, illegitimate daughter of the King of England. Through some circumstances that happen at the beginning of this book, she finds herself in a wee bit of trouble, and she's kind of forced to fly back over to England, the last place she wants to be. This is what I really liked about Evan. Evan is a very flawed human being, a flawed young woman, and she is not striving to be noticed, you know. She's not someone all over Instagram or TikTok, you know, be like flaunting herself like, hey, look at me, you know. Evan has no interest in being somebody. She'd much rather be a nobody. She likes and enjoys her privacy. And yeah, she kind of dabbles in petty crime. You know, she dabbles in some petty crime, you know, things that do get her in hot water on occasion, which is kind of where we see her at the start of this book, and lands her in some trouble, and why she's kind of forced to go back to England. And yeah, she has to now spend time with her extended family. The extended family, they all know who she is. The rest of England has no idea who she is. But yeah, her extended family, they all know who she is. And she's like this dirty little secret. You know, she is the king's great shame. Or at least that's how Evan kind of sees it. You know, I am his great shame. Because she is a product of infidelity, essentially. Her father was already married, and he met her mother, and they had a thing, you know. And I like how that's kind of gone into this book, you know, exactly how that came about, because the king, he kind of comes across a certain way, and I love kind of the development there, you know, because you kind of start changing your opinions about him and his relationship with Evan in general, I think. And as part of her extended family, she obviously has, you know, like her stepmother. I guess the Queen of England would be her stepmother in this, you know, her evil stepmother. She has her stepmother, her stepsister, her step cousins. Is that a thing? Is that a thing? So yeah, she has all these people that she is technically sort of related to, but yeah, none of these people have any interest in knowing her, in understanding her, and she kind of doesn't really feel the same way about them either, you know. And so the big plot of this really gets going. Her half sister, you know, that's it, not step. I'm sitting here saying like stepmother, step sister, whatever. It'd be half sister, I guess is the more proper term. Her half sister, Mary, who is going to be like the future Queen of England and whatnot in this fictional universe. Her half-sister Mary invites her reluctantly to, you know, a fancy party. And it's here that Evan, without really getting into major spoilers here, it's here that the plot really heats up, because this party that's supposed to be a night of fun, it quickly turns deadly, and we get a murder investigation. And if you're paying attention to things going on in this book, you're going to figure out who's going to get murdered. It's pretty easy and obvious who's getting murdered at this party. and how Evan is going to kind of be trapped into this whole investigation, and why people are looking at her like she's the murderer, you know. Um, I really liked kind of the direction this book took. Just kind of all of a sudden, you know, it turns into a big murder investigation, you know, kind of like a mystery thriller. And yeah, Evan has to clear her name and like, hey, I didn't do this. Y'all need to be focusing on somebody else. And once again, like I was saying, this book kind of being a commentary, you know, who the monarchy is willing to protect versus who they're not willing to protect. And yeah, Evan kind of being this scapegoat for the monarchy to use because she's American, she's illegitimate. Let's get rid of her, you know, move it off of us because we all need to look good. Our image in the monarchy needs to look good, you know, and Evan doesn't care about that, you know. But something else I really liked about her character, what made her so interesting, not only is she flawed and complicated and she has no desire to be, you know, famous or anything, something else I liked about her character, you know, she's around her extended family who don't like her, who don't trust her, and she kind of feels the same way about them. But she knows that in order for them to trust her, she needs to prove herself. She doesn't have to, you know. She doesn't like these people. She doesn't have to prove her worth and prove her trust, but she does. You know, there's a lot of things that kind of happen in this book, and it's like, girl, you just need to go out there and say what you need to say and screw this family that doesn't care for you. But she kind of does the opposite, you know, and that kind of makes her a really admirable character in a weird sort of way that I liked, you know, that she's loyal and trustworthy, which she doesn't have to be. And those are qualities that are kind of hard to pull off, I think, sometimes. And of course, since Evan is the American illegitimate daughter of the King of England, once the media learns of this fairly quickly in this book, the media goes insane. And I loved like the snippets of the media we would get. We would get like text messages from just random people in England, or news segments, phone calls, newspaper articles. In between every chapter, you kind of get media headlines, essentially, and I really liked how that functioned and worked in this book, because yeah, when you think of modern monarchy, a lot of what we're receiving is through the media, the lens that the media wants us to see things, you know, whether it's factual or not. And this book, it's all about like the juicy gossipy, scandalous stuff that goes on behind the scenes and monarchy, you know. And yeah, Evan's kind of role in that, and she could easily, once again, she could easily bring down this monarchy with just a quick word, a quick email to a newspaper company, you know, but she doesn't. I loved all the backstage drama and scandal going on in this book. Once again, it's a YA book. That's what makes it kind of enjoyable, is kind of some of the more scandalous things going on. And yeah, what all the young people are up to. And I think this book could have easily verged into like soap opera material, but I honestly don't think it ever did. I think for the most part, everything that was going on in this book was handled in a really mature, like realistic fashion, if that makes sense. I just really enjoyed what Aimee Carter did with this book. And that's why I just really enjoyed it for the most part. You know, it wasn't overly tropey, it wasn't cringy. I think the general execution was incredibly just well done. It never fell apart for me. It felt really realistic in some ways. Like, I could see this going on in real life, you know. So overall, this book was wildly fun, enjoyable, entertaining. I'm definitely excited for the next book in this series. And I was reading like the synopsis on Goodreads for the next book in this series, and it definitely sounds like we're going to have something kind of similar, you know, kind of like another mystery thriller sort of angle going on with the book and whatnot. So I'm definitely really super excited to read the next book in this series, see where it's going, see where Evan's future lies within this dramatic, angsty family. And yeah, will the media in England, will they accept her for who she is eventually? We shall find out. So you guys, that is it for my thoughts and feelings on Royal Blood by Aimee Carter. In the comments below, have you guys read this first book in this trilogy? Do you plan on reading it? Did it exceed your expectations like it did for me? Because seriously, I was genuinely kind of blown away with this book. It was such a pleasant surprise, which I'm glad, you know. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this book. That's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.